Remember that, Muse? That tattoo? Yeah, that was a line from I, Zombie I, a book I'm kind of proud of. Thank you for giving me the idea. And thank you for giving me the idea for my new series, Fear. I think it's pretty fresh. And so does the publisher. Of course, it's not done yet, but last night I hit the 20K word mark, which is a good thing. That means things are flowing. And it's been pretty easy to write so far. Well, I say that. And I guess I should explain. So this new book, this new series is, I haven't really given a lot of information out on this series because, writers tend to want to hold these really cool ideas tight to the chest until they get released to the public, with good reason, because we don't want someone else coming along and snatching up that idea and writing a book and publishing it before we get ours done. And to that end, I want to explain. I want to talk about something. Not explain. I want to talk about something. Now I'm going to be a little vague because if I give away too much information, then I believe people will start to put two and two together and be able to figure out exactly what it is I'm writing. So last night, actually not just last night, over the last few weeks, maybe months, I have been watching one particular series that kind of indirectly relates to what I'm writing. And along the way, while I was watching this one particular series, I started watching other series that were similar. And what I discovered was, now, the first series that I started watching began quite some time ago, and it's still running. And the other two series did not begin quite some time ago. They began recently, or at most maybe 3 years ago. So I'm almost through with the first season of one series. I'm a quarter of the way through the second season of another series. And the whole time I'm watching these other two series, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, wait a second. Didn't I just see that plot on this other series? It's almost identical. Yeah, they're different names and different locations, but wow. It's almost as if these other two series watched the first series and said, we can use that plot device. We can use that arc. We can take that episode and make it ours. Now, to be perfectly honest, within the realm of these series, there's really only so much you can do. But even so, sometimes it becomes so blatant, ripoff becomes so blatant, that you want to wave your finger at those people and say, nay, nay, you shouldn't be doing that. There are all sorts of ways you could come up with fresh ideas, even in a series that's been done. I mean, it's all been done. And that's part of the problem. It has all been done. You could point, in fact, the first series that I'm watching, right? There was another series prior to that went on for a very long time. And I'm sure, and I never watched that series, but I'm sure that if I watch that series, we're getting really hard to talk about these because I'm not naming names. But let's say the long series that I started watching is series A. And then the two shorter series I'm watching are B and C. Now, there's another series, we'll call that sub A or beta or alpha, that began a long time ago. And if I watched that alpha series, I'm sure that I could find plot devices and arcs, character arcs and story arcs that are found in Series A. And I bet you that we can go even further back in time and find another series that the Alpha or Beta series stole from. It never ends. It really doesn't. But here's the thing. So last night while I was writing, I finally hit a scene that is really indicative of the sub-genre of this series. And I had to stop and think, have I seen this happen in those TV shows that I've been watching? And that's one of the things that there were many reasons why I stopped watching The Walking Dead. I know I'm confessing this, but it's just the truth. One of the reasons was that I wanted to make sure that I wasn't stealing from them, that there was absolutely no way that I could have stole from them because I just simply didn't watch it. I watched a few seasons of it, but that was it. I can't remember where I stopped, but I did stop. And now I'm not going to stop watching these series because they're just so damn good. But I really have to police myself and be careful not to write any story arc or any character that is similar. Now, the characters are really hard because there are archetypes. And every genre, every written genre has archetypes. And there's a reason why archetypes exist, because they're universal. But we can take an archetype and we can layer on top of that, and we can make an archetype our own, such that it doesn't come off as someone else's character. And the same thing holds true with these plot devices and these story arcs. We can take a basic story arc from a television show, say, and it's not what I'm doing, but we could take a story arc from this television show, and we could say, and I can look at that and go, how can I take that and not only make it work within the framework of my universe, how can I make it my own? How can I make it different? Because, like I said, it's all been done. And within the realm of what I'm writing, there is a finite amount of plot points that I can use, I guess you could say. I'm trying so hard to be vague, and I don't know if it's working, but anyway. So, you know, it's like you have this puzzle, and every writer has this puzzle. Every writer has access to the pieces that belong to the puzzle. Now, what we try to do as writers is we try to take that puzzle and those pieces and make those pieces fit together in a different way than the previous writer put the puzzle together. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But what's important is that we try. And yes, this puzzle analogy is a little strange, because if you really take a puzzle and you try to force the puzzle pieces together, you're not going to wind up with a viable photo, a viable picture to look at. It's just not going to work. But that's what we try to do. And sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's easy, because sometimes those puzzle pieces really only want to go together in the way in which they were made to go together. And sometimes those puzzle pieces we can massage them and say, you know what? Puzzle piece A, I know you're supposed to go in with puzzle piece B, but I have figured out a way to make you go in with puzzle piece C. And we're going to do that. And you're going to be okay with that. Okay? Puzzle piece B and C. You all right? You okay? And so, as I continue watching this show, I'm going to take clues, because there are a lot of really good clues there. And part of it is just me watching to go, how do they do this? How do people within this world do what they do? because I don't belong in that. I'm not part of that world. I am far removed from that world. And I don't know their shtick, their lingo, the things they do. I don't know how. So I can watch this show and go, oh, that was really cool. I need to look that up. And first of all, see if that's right. And see if that's an option for me to use. And if it is, how do I use it then in my story such that it doesn't look like I'm just stealing it from someone else? Because that's just not cool. Stealing someone else's ideas is just not cool. I don't do it, and I don't want people doing it to me. Now, imitation is the highest form of flattery. So, and I'm not gonna directly try to imitate someone else's work, but I'm going to, when I see something that is effective and can be put in play into the puzzle that I'm making, I'm going to seriously consider it. Only if I can make it unique. And sometimes just the act of putting it into my puzzle makes it unique. Sometimes it has to be massaged in order for that piece to fit together. So, yeah, as a writer, I do keep an eye on this. I make sure that when I'm writing something that it doesn't feel like something else. I have this short story that I have to write for an anthology, and I was fairly certain that I had a really cool idea, and I sat on the idea and I gave it some thought, and finally I realized that it was just too similar to something else, and I couldn't do it. Even though it would have been really easy to write and probably a cool story to read, I couldn't, with good conscience, I couldn't write that story because it was just way too similar. Yeah, I probably could have bent and twisted it around to make it my own, but in the end, it was too familiar. And yes, it's really hard when you're in a subgenre like a post-apocalyptic, because there are certain tropes that everybody uses, and we try very hard to either not use them or bend and twist them such that they are new, a unique take on this trope. But sometimes a trope is a trope for a reason, and it has to be used. It's just like the whole slow versus fast zombies. Now, in the name of transparency, or just to give you a nice little hint, there are no zombies in this series that I'm writing, because I wanted to try, here we go, I wanted to take a fresh approach to the apocalypse. And I think I have one. And it's so obvious. And when I came up with the idea, I'm like, why hasn't this already been done? Maybe it has. I haven't read every post-apocalyptic novel on the planet. But to me, it was fresh. And fresh is good. Especially when genre fiction has been inundated, utterly and profoundly inundated with books. To find something fresh is really, literally like finding the end of the rainbow in the pot of gold. And there's no little green man around to have to fight for it. Leprechaun, that's the word I was trying to think of. A leprechaun. I don't know if they're green. They might wear green. They might not exist. I don't know. But when you find something fresh in genre fiction, leprechauns may as well exist. Which was kind of a bad character to choose, because it's not anywhere near St. Patrick's Day. It's almost Thanksgiving, so I guess I should have said, no, there's really no mythical creatures in Thanksgiving. I should have said Christmas, because there's Santa Claus. Did I say mythical? If you were out there watching and you believe in Santa, I lied. Santa is not a mythical creature. I'm a fiction writer. I tell fiction. I tell stories. I make up stories. And maybe in my mind, just at that moment, Santa was a fictional character. Maybe I was thinking of Krampus. Do you believe in Krampus? Okay, Krampus exists. Everything exists. On Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner, on Vixen. Vixen. There's always a vixen in every story, right? Anyway, that's what I got to say, Muse. That's all I can vomit forth today. I hope you had fun chatting with me, Muse. I always have fun chatting with Mew. With Mew? With Mew. Are you a cat? I wouldn't be surprised if my Muse was a cat. And you will probably zip around my feet when I'm walking, getting dangerously close to me stomping on your murder mittens, and then you'll look up and blame it on me. Look, I'll do everything I can to not step on your murder mittens. Because I love you, cats. Just like I love you, Muse. Why? Because you, Muse, are awesome.